I encourage everyone to take a moment and breathe and take a tea cheers with a Jiri tea. A Jiri tea recognizes the beauty in shared stories and shared opportunities. Ajiri sources award-winning tea from Kenya, employs women in the region to handcraft the labels, and sends 100% of the profits back to the region to support orphan education. Save 10% on your order of Kenyan teas and coffee with the code BeautifullyHuman at ajiritea.com. AJIRIT.com. Tea mugs up. Hello, and welcome to the Beautifully Human podcast. I'm Nick Sheesby. In this podcast, I speak with beautiful humans from all around the world, sharing with you their incredible stories, revealing the power in every human story, to spread love and humanity to a world that is in desperate need of it, to show that we can all connect in beautiful ways no matter where we come from or what we look like. What you will find out is that we are all beautifully human. Let's all be beautifully human.
Hello?
Well, hello there.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, I appreciate you being on here. I'm
Yeah, of
excited.
course.
I'm excited to talk to you. I was thinking about it today, and I'm like, man, I always get a little nervous, especially when I'm doing these when I haven't ever spoken to the person that I'm talking to. And then I go, you
Fair.
know what? It's actually kind of fun. Well, a lot of fun because I don't know I know certain bits about you, but I have everything to learn about you. So that's exciting to me of like a blank slate of, a new friendship that I get to
Yeah,
explore for the next however long we end up speaking for.
awesome. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to talk, though. Your questions are so insightful.
Yeah, it's been amazing for me to read them
Hmm.
about my friends, so that that's been really fun to even people that I know incredibly well who have read the or have written back about these to me. I've learned so much about them, and I've cried and I've laughed, and it's just been absolutely beautiful, and it's super fun to get
Yeah,
to know people. And as I'm doing them as well, it's nice to be that insightful at certain points.
yeah, definitely. Well, I was working on mine up to this point and using them for reference, but if you would like them afterwards, I'm happy to forward it along.
Yeah, beautiful. That would be awesome.
Yeah, of course.
um so where in the world are you right now?
So I am in Massachusetts. I lived in Boston for about 5 years. I've grown up in Massachusetts. And about 2 weeks ago, my boyfriend and I moved out to the Berkshires just in time for a 2 foot snowstorm. So,
Perfect. It's probably gorgeous.
yeah, it is beautiful. It is beautiful. And we moved into kind of a remodeled barn. So,
Ooh, that's
yeah, very
amazing.
picturesque.
Yeah, no kidding. That's like the perfect winter landscape for that.
Exactly.
But man, I really, before I get into the questions, tell me about Dry. Kind of, I'm super. When Molly sent me your information, I looked at your website and everything, and I just want to hear the story of it about it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so Dry started actually a few years ago. Um, and I watched this documentary on ocean plastic, and it just shook me to my core. Just the amount that's in there, estimated over 5 trillion pieces, the amount that's flowing in there every year, over 8 million tons. It's just like totally crazy. So it really stuck with me and made me pretty uncomfortable. So I learned a lot about recycling, and I learned that, while this is still an enormous problem, there's been a lot of innovation in the space of recycling.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of companies like Adidas are turning this recycled bottles into polyester yarn and incorporating that in clothes or shoes or other areas of their product lines, which is just really inspirational to me
Yeah, it's
that such a
amazing.
big company would take on that kind of mission. So that just kind of stuck with me. And then separately, one day I was walking to work, and I don't know in Nashville, but in New England, we get lots of inclement weather, as mentioned with the amount of snow that we
Yeah.
have right now. So I've broken a lot of umbrellas in my day, and this day was no different. It flipped and tore, and when that happens, there's really no going back with umbrellas. So
Right.
I tossed it into the trash, and then I was a few yards away, and I had that like super cliche entrepreneurial aha moment.
Yeah.
And I went back to the trash and I checked the tag, and it said that the canopy was 100% polyester.
Mm.
So that's kind of started clicking in my mind. I put the two pieces of that puzzle together, and I looked into the umbrella space, and I couldn't think of a single umbrella supplier. I had no idea who
Yeah.
made my umbrella, who made any
Right.
umbrella. I just had no idea. And so, that was the moment when it just kind of clicked. This is a great niche to give this eco-friendly alternative to whoever seeks it out. And I think that in this day and age, a lot of people are making those more conscious decisions.
Right.
So super excited to just enter a space. I mean, over 1 billion umbrellas are thrown away every year.
Holy cow.
And they're non-recyclable. So you're tossing it really into a landfill or
Right.
into our oceans. So it just seemed like kind of on all fronts, definitely an industry that needed some assistance and environmental help for certain. So
Yeah.
I decided to kind of dig into the concept of taking plastic bottles and turning them into that polyester yarn. And then the piece of having it be ocean-bound plastic just really resonated with me after that documentary. And seeing there was an avenue I could pursue there that would really make a dent in this just made me super excited. And I'll be honest, I like to be honest about this part because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs have an idea and just go for it and never look back. I started it, and then I realized how much work it was going to be.
Right.
And then I stopped.
Yeah.
And then about 2 years later, the idea came back to me, and with it just came such a certainty that it was the right time. I was going to do it, and there's been no going back since.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And yeah, I think it's funny. That was something I hadn't even thought about when you said, I was thinking about who made my umbrellas. And I mean, as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, I couldn't even begin to name an umbrella maker.
Right. And I think, I've done some polling since, and we are not alone in that. It's pretty wild. I've been able to poll close to 200 people, and at least half of them say they own over two, while 90% of those people say that they don't know who made either of them.
Yeah. Yeah, because I just think of one that's sitting in my truck, and I don't know who, I don't even know when I bought it. It's just in there for that day. I need to grab it, and then I use it and I put it back in there. And yeah, I mean, you see it at shows, you see it walking in cities. It just, yeah, the umbrella goes upside down and it gets broken and it gets left. It just sits there. Man. And I mean, I think it's so neat that you saw that documentary, and like I know there's so many of those aha moments that, like you said, you had that moment, and then like you wanted to do something about it, even when you're being honest and said, yeah, I want to do this, but holy shit, it's a lot of work, so we'll see,
exactly,
because I think a lot of people do have those moments where it's like, I want to do this, but I don't know how, or yeah, it's just too much, or I can't do this, so I like the honesty in that of, I don't know how this works, or I don't know how to even make this a possibility. But then coming back later and being like, yeah, I can do this. I think that's super rad.
Exactly. I feel like so many people do have that moment of like, well, this is a genius idea. Like, I'm going to make this happen. And then, it is so much work. So people aren't wrong to not execute on it if they can't commit, because there comes a certain point where you really have to decide whether it's worth it or not.
Yeah, especially something that big that's going to change your life. It's scary to just take that step and say, yep, this is what I'm doing, I'm going for it, and I'm all in. You have to do that, man. And so are they in production now, or how far along in the process are you?
Yeah, so right now I had one round of samples, and I'm receiving my second round, which is really exciting.
Awesome.
The first round wasn't strong enough for my liking. It wasn't durable enough.
Okay.
I think a whole element to this is to prevent those billion from entering the landfill.
Yes.
To for above all, recycling, yes, reusing, yes, but reducing. So I don't want
Mm-hmm.
people to have to buy 6 dry umbrellas. One will hopefully be enough.
Right.
So I am getting a second round that will be a little bit more sturdy, which is very exciting. And then the handles are also going to be made of bamboo for kind of an extra level of sustainability there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I'll receive those samples, and then when I approve those, then we'll go to mass market, which is very exciting.
That is very exciting. And
Yeah.
when I heard about it and I started looking at it and thinking about just how useful and how many people have them, and now that we're talking about it, it's the most I've talked about umbrellas in quite a while or thought of them. But it is so true how just throw away they are. They just go
Right.
away and never to be seen again, and you get a new one. And it's such a cool, what a good market to get into. Of this needs to change. We need to get the plastic out of the ocean and then put it to good use.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it's just a very disposable product, both PET bottles, so water bottles, soda bottles, and a disposable umbrella. And so combining the both of them to extend both of their life cycles.
Yes. And so, will they be recyclable?
Yes, they will be. The first round will have fiberglass ribs. So that's what I need to find a substitute for
Okay.
with this upcoming sample round. And then after that, the steel shaft is completely recyclable. The bamboo is as well. And the upcycled fabric can be utilized again. Yes.
Oh, that's so awesome. And as you were saying that, I was just thinking, for you and your learning curve on all of this, what a really neat essential, what a neat whole new world to learn and get involved in. And these new materials and everything that you're figuring out for this. How that's got to be just so fun to research all of that and find new ways to do these things.
Yeah, it has been. It's definitely been an adventure.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will come as a surprise to you that there's not a lot of statistics on umbrellas.
I'm not shocked by that.
But I mean, it's definitely been very fun in that sense because I don't really have a handbook based off of how to do this because it will be the first of its kind, which is both very exciting and a little daunting. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's been great to be able to think through, okay, what's a substitute for this that will leave less of a footprint on our environment, and being able to kind of have that leeway in my thought, and being able to kind of be the first person to really think through maybe what a better alternative for this would be, or how we can do this differently, a product that's been around for thousands and thousands of years,
Right.
rethinking it to its core.
Oh, that's so neat. I love that. It's yeah, it's so neat. I've been excited to just hear about it in general since I started emailing with you. So that's super rad. And I just saw this morning, you got a science and innovation award for it.
I did, yeah. I won that this summer or early September. And Biossance is this amazing clean beauty company, and they had this award for people who are doing things to protect our oceans. So I applied, and honestly, I wasn't expecting to win. And then I received a message that I was a finalist, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And in itself, I was just honored to be a finalist. And then there's this very embarrassing video of Jonathan Van Ness calling me and telling me that I won. Uh,
Whoa.
and I know I was not prepared to see him at all. The video is like extraordinarily embarrassing.
I'll have to find it.
But I mean, they've just been amazing. In addition to, the super generous grant, they also have offered coaching sessions with their executive team. So I've spoken to them about packaging and marketing and the opportunities within the business, in addition to just the financial help that they're providing.
That is incredible. That's so
Yeah,
neat.
they're really great.
I love that. And that's so, I mean, I wouldn't know what to do with Jonathan Van Ness called me. So I completely understand that he was calling you to congratulate you on winning and you freaking out first off that it's just Jonathan calling you and then that he's talking about your product and that you won an award for it. I can't even imagine how thrilling that was and terrifying and all of those emotions.
Yes, yes. I came out of the room and my mom was like, "Why are you bright red?" I was like, "I don't know what just happened."
Oh, how amazing. Oh, I love that. That's so cool. So, now that we've heard where your heart is and where what your mission is with all of this, like tell me, I know a lot of my questions are about life in different formats. But yeah, tell me kind of like all in one or you can kind of separate them as you go. Just like tell me a story about your life. What brought you to where you are? Crazy life, your stories, the struggles, all the good, the enrichment, the being enriched.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say obviously I had, an incredible. I shouldn't say obviously. I did have an incredible childhood and an incredible experience growing up in a nice town in Acton, Massachusetts. Amazing parents, amazing siblings. Super fortunate in my home life. And when I was about 15, I took a trip to Mississippi with a youth group. We went after Hurricane Katrina, and I honestly think that that's really where my sense of humanitarianism has come from. I was at such an impressionable age at 15, really just
Yeah.
kind of learning what you're passionate about and thinking about the future a little bit, but just being put in such an environment where people were going through such large struggles, it was just it changed my whole life and it changed the trajectory of my life. I can confidently say that.
Yeah.
So just was a super empowering experience. I went with the youth group, so some of my friends were there, and it was an incredible experience to be so humbled by the people who had lost everything and who we were there to serve and to try to help them get their lives back on track. So we did a lot with rebuilding homes, with helping clear out yards and do some destruction cleanup, which was super valuable.
Yeah. Man,
But yeah,
especially after
I
such a
mean,
storm and to see that, coming from, even if you you know, come from somewhere where you've seen even like tornado damage, but then to go down to that and just see people complete lives decimated. I can't even imagine, especially at the age of 15, to see, from where you come from to what people are dealing with down there. That had to just rock you.
yes, it certainly did. It certainly did. And it set me up to want to do that for the rest of my life. The feeling that it gave me and the emotions that I felt, I knew going forward that it was the type of work that I would always want to do. So I continued to, which has been amazing. And I've had so many wonderful experiences and been able to travel domestically and internationally to do it. And I just feel so blessed to have people bring me into their lives through these types of experiences.
I love that. And so in that, what has been your favorite travel moment? Even if it or yeah, just your favorite travel moment.
Oh my God, that's
And
such a difficult
I
question.
know I do it too when I look at that question, and I know it's one of those impossible ones, but even if you just want to share a couple, just like super fun, enriching, wonderful experiences around the world.
Yeah, I mean, I just have loved the travel experiences, particularly where I am like wildly out of my comfort zone and
Mm-hmm.
have, could never even imagine living the type of life that these people live, and then being given the opportunity to do so. It's just like such an incredible feeling, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I'd say one particular example of that when I was studying abroad. I was fortunate enough to study abroad in New Zealand,
Cool.
which, yeah, in it itself was just absolutely amazing. But over spring break, a few of my friends and myself went to Thailand through a program that the school was offering. And our first day, we hit the ground running. Literally, we hiked through a jungle, one of the Thai jungles, and we arrived at a hill tribe, at a village, few miles up in the jungle, deep into the jungle, and we stayed with them overnight. And
Amazing.
yeah, it was just life changing. They didn't have any electricity, no indoor plumbing. There was really mats for beds. There weren't really any mattresses or things like that. And it was just the most incredible, life altering experience I think that I've ever had.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that. I've never done anything even remotely similar to that. And I just know getting, like you said, getting outside your comfort zone and just seeing a different culture. I mean, it, in my experiences, it just changes you so much for the better to see how other people are experiencing life, and realizing that even when you come back to wherever it is you come back to, like when I come back here, their lives are still happening. It's not that like just because you popped into their window of life for that 14 hours wasn't like that's just it. Like it's still happening, and that's the way that these humans live their life. Is It's so incredible to see the resiliency and the beauty in life around the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've had, fortunately, a few of those experiences. In Nicaragua, I got to visit a local family. In Fiji, I got to visit a local village. And just every time that I'm in a village like that where people are living such a different life with many less options and choices for the way that they live their life, it always just, it blows my mind because the common thread in all of that is how happy they all are.
Yeah.
And it just, you'd think that the more opportunities you have, the happier you are. But I don't know if that's really the case. They make me second guess that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree because when you are given options, you pick things that don't necessarily make you happy. They make you happy for the moment, and then that clouds that gets in the way of what truly makes you happy. I mean, it happens literally every day when people go to work and they don't like what they do, and then they just get stuck in it for that long out of necessity or whatever the reason. And yeah, it's the less is more. I see so much beauty in that.
For sure. Yeah, and I think sometimes it takes just a step back. I mean, if you think about how stressful even applying for college is, it's because there are thousands, or
Right.
purchasing a car, and you think about how much time you spend over these decisions where
Yeah.
you could be doing things that truly provide joy in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just ponder over these crazy
Yeah.
decisions, and ultimately, does it matter if you buy get a Honda or
Right.
you get a Nissan? Maybe not in the grand scheme of things.
Totally. And like you said, I mean, college, good Lord, that's a massive one for so many people where it's like, this is my portal to the rest of my life. And it is the most stressful situation thinking of where do I go? Is it the perfect college for me? Like I went for only a semester, so I missed out on the whole college experience, but I know so many people that it
Mm-hmm.
was something that should be so joyful and it was so incredibly stressful.
I am definitely one of those people.
So with that, so what did you study in school that like after all these experiences, you've seen all these things, like what did you go to in what did you go into in university?
So I studied healthcare administration,
Hmm.
and I know it seems very unrelated to anything that I do now, which in fairness it pretty much is. So
Right.
it doesn't just seem that way, it's
Right.
true. So right out of college, I did stay true to that degree. I worked at Boston Children's Hospital, which was amazing for no other reason than the fact that I met three of my best friends there. So
Beautiful.
super fortunate in that sense. And then from there, I actually left after a year and a half or so, and I backpacked through Central America with one of my other very close friends, dear friends. So that was kind of a nice stepping stone out of college. And then
Yeah.
after that, I did some assistant work for a few years. and became an account manager at a software company while I built Dry on the side.
Wow, that's amazing. I I just love how much travel you've incorporated into your life because I just think, actually, I don't think, I know, with so many, so many issues that I see happening right now in this country, I just think if you would go outside of this country and see what else is going on in the world, you would have so much better of a perspective. I don't know if it would change anything, but I know perspectives would change. And I try to encourage people and say, just go experience it. Go see the world. Go put your foot somewhere else in the world and step in someone's shoes or just observe it and experience it. And it's so life altering when you get to have those moments.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. And I mean, if for no other reason, it makes you so grateful for the privileges that you have in your life,
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
comforts that you have. It just makes you take a step back and really realize when you're outside of your comfort zone how much you kind of love your comfort zone sometimes.
Right. Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite moments, I was in Denmark. I was living in a small village with a friend of mine, and we were working with a band. And I took a train back from Copenhagen to the place that I was staying, and there was one pizza shop open. It was 10:30 at night, and I walk into the pizza shop, and I don't know Danish. It's one of the most beautiful, but just such a foreign language to me, obviously, that I couldn't even master small sentences. But I walk into this pizza place, and I'm trying to get a cheese pizza, and I say cheese pizza, nothing from this man. And then I start pointing at the wall at a cheese pizza, and again, nothing from this man. And at this point, I'm just like shrinking in my mind. Like, okay, I, I have no way to communicate with this man. I have no possible way. I've pointed, I've said the words that I know. That's it. And then I just looked at him, and it was very awkward. And I just turned around and I was about to leave, right? Because what else do you do when I literally cannot communicate with this person? And he just stopped me and he was like, "Whoa, like, I'm just messing with you, man." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Where are you from? What are you doing here?" Because it was a small village 2 hours west of or east of Copenhagen. And I just told him, I was like, "I work with a friend of mine. We work with a band." And he's like, "You're from Ohio and you're here? That's incredible." He's like, "I had to mess with you. Like, I don't ever see people from the States here." And so we had this awesome conversation. And I was like, man, if anyone would ever be in that situation, like to feel the way I felt, I felt so tiny in that moment, you know? And it was
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. I loved it because I was like, I'm in your country. I should know your language. I shouldn't
Yeah.
expect that you know my language. And turns out he knew like four languages, and then I felt even smaller because I only know one.
I know. It's incredible. I picked up some Spanish, but I truly wish I felt the same way. Just going in and not knowing the language just felt like I was kind of encroaching upon their territory.
Yeah. And I mean, I've said this many times, but I think if I was given one superpower, it would be knowing every language in the world.
Oh my God, that's mine too. Or being
What?
able to understand every language
Yes.
in the world, both.
Yeah. It would be so magical. Like, I will say though, in that same regard, there is something just so beautiful about being in another country, sitting in a cafe or wherever you are and not understanding what people are saying and just listening to just the musical languages around you. I do absolutely love that. And not knowing what they're saying, I don't mind it because it's just so freeing to sit in that moment and just listen to all these beautiful languages intermixing around you. But it would be amazing just to walk into that man's pizza shop tomorrow and say, in Danish, "I want a cheese pizza." And be like, "Look, man, I know now." Like
Yeah,
it would just open up so much of the world.
it really would.
It'd be
It
so
really would. That's
beautiful.
so funny that that's what your superpower is.
Yeah,
People
that's
always think I'm so clever when I say that's mine. Now I know somebody else has it.
yeah, and I it didn't used to be that until I started traveling. And then I started thinking, well, flying would be fun, but I can get on a plane, you know, like there's options to these other ones, right? I mean, sure,
Right.
like just running and then jumping and flying somewhere would be rad. Don't get me wrong. Like all the other answers, any answers perfectly valuable. But it would be so neat to just converse with everyone. It would just be so neat just to see
Yeah.
someone's face just looking at me, not thinking I could speak with them. And then bam, here it is.
Exactly. Surprise. Pleasantly surprise everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be so beautiful. Oh man. So, um I want to swing back kind of around to dry, but it also kind of like just goes into just the purpose and all of this. Like anybody that's listening, how would you suggest they get involved, even just locally, with kind of your mission? With like the reducing, reusing, and all of that, like that dry is working towards.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that it's so important overall. I mean, I can get into the tangibles, but I think overall, just the idea that you can make a difference and that every action that you take does make a difference. I think the importance of people understanding that can't be understated.
Yeah,
And I think that a lot of people don't believe that and they don't feel empowered or inspired. But they should, because, what they do matters, and what we all do as individuals are the only thing that matters and the only thing that will bring about change. So
yeah,
I just think that that's really important and something that I definitely want to stand for, to
totally.
be its mission. Selling umbrellas will be great, and I hope that we're successful in doing so and in cleaning up a lot of the ocean, or preventing a lot of the plastic from going in there, I should say. But I
Yeah,
think most of all, what I'd like people to take away from dry is that what they do matters.
I love that. That's what a lot of why I went into doing this podcast and doing the written versions of Beautifully Human is I felt power in myself when I told my story, because I have a crazy story that has a lot of power in it. And you know I truly believe that no matter what you do, no matter who you are, where you are, there's power in your story. There's a beauty, there's value, there's somebody out there that relates to you. And just sharing that story and knowing that you as a person, as a human, has value and has power. I think that is people need so much more of that.
Mm-hmm. I entirely agree. Yeah.
Because the most common question I get when I send out, "Hey, do you want to be a part of this?" is me. Why would you want to talk to me? Or why do you want me to answer these? I don't do anything.
Mm.
And that makes me so sad, because I just think you do.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever lost a friend? Have you ever had a loved one get sick? Have you ever um, you know, played in a college football game? Have you ever, whatever these accomplishments, or, played a sold out show to 20 people? It doesn't matter. Like there's somebody out there that has wanted to do that and might be motivated by you, or just needs to hear that somebody else has done it and tried it and failed and moved on and pivoted and gone a different way with life and figured it out. Like there's power in every angle you look at in your story, if you believe in yourself and utilize that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that more people need to realize that. So that's what I really hope that dry um, encourages people to feel, is that empowerment, that what they do matter.
Yeah, especially on that front, there's so much work to be done. And so literally everybody can get into that very easily. And I've been I had a couple of discussions this year with people that I'm close to, and it's unbelievable how politicized this one has gotten. And I don't know if you've run into this, but I had a person that I was staying with on we my partner and I were on a road trip this summer, and we broke down in Boise, Idaho, and stayed with friends for a month. And we just had some really good conversations, because they were on the other side of the envelope politically and on
Mm.
some issues than I was. And I just genuinely wanted to learn about the other side, because I believe that we should all listen to everybody in their opinions. And one that kept coming up was, I kept hearing, well, I'm a Republican, but I recycle. Yeah, that's
What?
exactly my that was exactly my reaction, and I literally said, like, that is the lamest thing I've ever heard. Like, what? No, it doesn't matter, dude. Like, you are a human on this planet, and if you want this planet to keep going, we all have to do that. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, if you're Democrat, if you're any, if you're an anarchist. It doesn't matter if you believe in any government at all. It has nothing to do with recycling and keeping this earth going.
Hmm.
Have you run into that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like over the course of the election of this administration, it's become such a politicized conversation. And I think what people have to realize, and I have to keep in mind sometimes too myself, is that this isn't a political conversation.
No.
This is a life and death situation, regardless of who you're voting for. If you're not voting, if exactly like you said, wherever you fall in human society, this isn't really about that. This is about a place for all of us to live, and whether that survives or not.
Yeah.
And I
100%.
think a recent documentary came out with oh, who was it that it was on Netflix? Now it's going to escape me. But just talking about how the world will come back, but we
Right.
won't.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, the world is very resilient. Humans,
Right.
you get one shot at it.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I've just been baffled by that. I and I get really frustrated when I talk about that, because I just, and like it dips into even like religious circles where it's like, religion seems to be on one side of politics, and that's also the side that's against, the opposite side of the recycling part, and it's like, well, I'm Republican, so I can't recycle because that's a leftist idea. And I'm going, well, if you believe in creation, then you should be the biggest, quote unquote hippie tree hugger, if that's what you call people now. Like, if you believe that this world was created by your Lord and Savior, I would imagine you would be the first one to want to save this planet if it's created
Mm-hmm.
by this person, right? And it's
Yeah,
just
totally. It's
unbelievable
just,
that it's
it blows my mind that it's really a discussion at this point, and
right.
it's not just an action plan.
Yeah, that any of these, like global warming and recycling and all of these, are even discussions. It's like, it's happening, it's real. Let's recycle, let's start reducing, and we can all move forward. Because if this planet doesn't come back, then we sure as hell don't. we we
Yeah,
aren't that
exactly.
resilient. Oh, so yeah, that one's been big on my mind recently. So I love that you saw that, that issue, and have come up with such a beautiful and unique way of tackling that.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the plan, and I think I'm confident that based off of all of the pieces being able to come together, and at this point the drive and dedication that I have towards it, that it will come to fruition.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that, and just the idea, like I said, of empowering people, but also just showing how when people have the ability to choose a sustainable alternative, they will,
Yes.
and to hopefully inspire other brands and other upcoming entrepreneurs that doing something in a sustainable way, whether it's using recycled materials or not, just doing it in a way that's good for the planet is worth it, and people are willing to show that with their dollars. So that's there's a few more overarching missions than just
Sure.
the plastic, but that's the real goal.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to watch where it goes, and I will definitely support.
Thank you. I'll
Yeah.
definitely let you know when they're ready to go.
Super cool. Um it just, I mean, quickly touching on the that topic too that we were just speaking of, my partner and I, she got invited by a friend to um join a Zoom call where it was teens talking about environmental issues like global warming and recycling and all of this. And it was really beautiful. The woman who led it, she just spoke for about 10 minutes on the group's mission, and then put a playlist on and had everybody do a little bit of art. It was like 25 minutes that we just drew and, on our thoughts on like how to help the planet and stuff. And I'm terrible at art, so I did my best at what I could do. And then at the end, she opened it up to share what everyone had drawn, and there was this younger woman who I don't know her exact age, but I think she was probably 10 or 11, so super young, and she had drawn like windmill farms and like all this sustainability, all these sustainable options. And then she also, on the other side, drew houses that were in bubbles, and humans that were living in these bubbles had to open their door to buy air to leave their bubble, because she thought that might happen in her lifetime. And that really broke my heart.
Wow.
Thinking, holy hell, this child who's a third of my age is thinking about this, that she has to think about that, because we've pushed it to this limit that we've pushed it to. But also it gave me hope, because someone that young was thinking about that as well.
Yeah.
And hopefully she'll come out, and her friends that are thinking this exact same way will come out and change the trajectory of all of this. So I'm
Yeah.
thankful that you're playing that massive part in that. I think it's super awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely pulled inspiration from that generation as well. I think that the teens definitely know what's up, and they know that they're going to be inheriting this earth.
Right.
I recently listened to a TED Talk, and it was these two beautiful teenagers from Bali, and they had created a nationwide movement called Bye Bye Plastic Bags. And just incredible. They were able to create this movement and make legislative changes, and it was incredible. And one thing that they said really stuck with me, and it said, they said, we may be 10% of the world's population, but we're 100% of its future.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that was just like, oh, wow.
Brilliant. Wow.
Fair enough.
It's such a simple idea in my mind when I heard you say that, but it's so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I love it. I love the thinking of these younger generations. At first I was kind of nervous, you kind of think of, what are the younger kids doing? And then I see these moments and I go, all right, that's awesome. They're thinking, they're ready. They want to fight. They want to stand up for something. They want to believe in people. They want to believe in humans again and their rights, and just, think about the earth and what they're inheriting. And I think that's really given me a lot of hope recently, in a time where it's sometimes a struggle to find that hope.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So I have 3 more questions, and then I'll let you get to your meeting.
Please.
So one of my favorite ones to ask, and I know you have traveled quite extensively, which is amazing, but current restrictions aside, if I were to give you a plane ticket to anywhere in the world, where would you be going?
Oh, this one is so hard.
Yeah.
I I have been fortunate enough to do a good amount of traveling. I have never been to Africa, and I have always wanted to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Kenya would be high on that list, but I also have a very close cousin who lives in South Africa, and it would be amazing to see her. And I feel like there's so much history there, and
Yeah.
There's safaris, but there's wine country too, so that would be great. Just, it feels like it has a little bit for everybody there. And yeah, she's from she grew up in the town over than I did, and she's been living in South Africa for years now. So
that's amazing.
There's definitely got to be something to it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I think that's I mean, anytime I hear an answer, I think it's a fantastic answer, because I want to go to all these places as well. I've not been to Africa yet, but I would absolutely love to go. I had a friend that lived in South Africa for a while, and I've just met so many people from South Africa, and it was really funny. A quick story. One of the guys that worked on a tour I was on last summer, he had this accent and I just could not place it. And he came by my merch stand, and one day I was like, all right, Gabe, where is your accent? And he was like, oh, I'm from Zimbabwe. And I was like, what? Wow. No way. And like, it was great too because at one of the shows, there was this promoter who was this like Chicago Italian dude, and he was trying to like muscle everybody around and be like, yo, this tough guy, and he was trying to do this tough guy routine to Gabe, and this guy was like, I'm from Italy, and Gabe was just like, and I'm from Africa, and the guy was like, oh, okay. Gotcha. I think it's a little tougher from there. So I agree. I would love, and he has a macadamia nut farm down there, and I was like, I want to go down and work on that for a while and just see how
Oh,
what that even looks like.
definitely. That sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
All right. So, what would you want the world to know about you?
Oh, that's a tough one. I feel like I'm a pretty open book, so I would be willing to share a lot. I guess in building a social enterprise, it's easy to see that some people can question intentions when it comes to people who are building social enterprises and how good they're actually being for the planet and the difference they're making and what they're actually in it for. So I think I just want the world to know my and Dry's genuine intentions for it. Because I think a lot of questions can arise. And how good is this actually? How much good is this actually doing?
Sure.
And yeah, I'd say that would be my answer, is just as genuine. I just want to make a difference for everybody, and I want to encourage as many people as I can to come along for that ride.
That's beautiful. I love it. All right. And the final one that I love to ask everybody is if you had the ear of everybody in the world, what would you say to them?
Oh. Okay, I already said the empowerment, so I won't keep barking up that tree. Um, I mean, I guess in the same vein, just that your actions matter. I feel like I can't like say that enough, but I don't even mean it when it comes to just recycling, when it comes to reusing. I mean it when it comes to complimenting somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Or just going a little bit outside of your day to do something nice for somebody. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've been inspired by such small gestures like that, and it almost seems like, even unintentionally, I pay it forward.
Right.
I don't, pat myself on the back for doing good things, but when someone does something nice for me, it immediately gives me even more of an intention to do something like that for somebody else and make someone feel like the way that that person made me.
Definitely. Yeah,
So,
it's a beautiful
yeah.
ripple in the world.
Exactly. And I don't think that can be understated. So, although
No.
it's similar to a few of my answers, I definitely want to stick with actions, no matter what they are, really do matter.
Yeah, and I don't think if we said that for the whole time we talked, if that was literally the only words that came out of our mouth, like people we can't hear it enough. So I'm always okay with that answer. Because we need all the kindness, we need all the humanity in this world, and that starts with everybody
Exactly.
and every wave and hello and smile with your eyes these days. It
Yeah,
takes all of
exactly.
us. So I love it. I think it's a beautiful answer. So well, it has been so nice to talk to you, and I thank you for your time and for coming on here and telling me about this beautiful enterprise that you're embarking into. And I'm super excited to see where it goes. And yeah, just it's been really lovely to talk to you and get to know you.
Yeah, you as well, Nick. And thank you so much for what you're doing. I think amplifying people in this way, and as you said, showing how we're all connected and how everybody has a story, whether they think they do or not, is just incredible, that you're giving people a voice to share theirs and to show that they do.
Yeah, I love it. I love speaking with people, and I love that we're all human and we all have a story to tell, no matter how big or small. It's all beautiful.
Definitely. Completely agree.
So, well, have a beautiful rest of your day, and I truly appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Nick. Have a good one.
All right, see you. Thank you for listening to the Beautifully Human podcast. To hear more beautiful stories from beautiful humans, follow us on Spotify, and rate and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Wanderlust Moon Duo. Peace signs up.